All right, everyone. So this is part 2 of DSP Reacts to Down the Rabbit Hole, the Final Fantasy House. If you have not seen part 1 yet, watch that first. It would make absolutely no sense for you to start at part 2. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Frederick Knudsen, the person who makes these Down the Rabbit Hole videos, for allowing me to do these React style videos and streams about his content. This was an impromptu one I had not planned ahead of time. It was just something random, completely off the cuff, had no idea what it was about. And it's pretty freaking weird and bad and wow, to say the least. All right? If you like this content, please support it in any way that you can. If that means liking, leaving comments, a super chat, super thanks, tips, whatever. I appreciate all of it. Let's continue into the second half. So, to recap, the original posts about this Final Fantasy House were from around the 2005 time period. 3 years later, these women have tried to delete all of their information off the internet, and no one knows where they are because so many bad accounts started being posted on the internet about bad experiences with these people. They're trying to basically hide their identity and erase any history of them ever existing. So this is a post from 2008, and apparently they have resurfaced. Okay? All right, here we go.
However, his standards for roommates were high. They all had to have stable income and employment and be at least 25 years old.
So what are
the
they
woman
doing there?
Who was
They don't,
chosen
right?
after their screening process was kept anonymous by Dragon Tiger Claw and was given the placeholder name Sarah, who moved in without much trouble.
So,
she claimed to be a 27-year-old computer programmer who already had a job in the area, but when she went back to work after the move, she returned saying she was laid off. When others offered to help her find new work, she consistently delayed accepting it, which made them suspicious. But much more striking was her connection to a particular game. Quote, "In the 3 weeks that followed, Sarah was still unemployed. She spent all her time playing video games in the family room. She would play the same game over and over, some crappy-looking RPG from the 90s.
Oops.
It had an unpronounceable name, but Sarah said she was bonded to the game. She also told us..."
Wait, it had an unpronounceable name? What game? It wasn't Final Fantasy then. Could it be a Suikoden? I played that one. I really liked that one. That's one that I'm thinking, if it's unpronounceable, it's got to be like a Japanese name, right? Maybe it was Suikoden or Suikoden. I still don't know how to pronounce it to this day, even though I loved it. I wonder if that's what it was.
that she changed her name to be that of one of the game characters. Upon further discussion, she explained that she believed she was the human incarnation of this character and that they shared a soul. Unquote. Pete refused to reveal what character she was claiming to be, however, since it would be identifying information. This game would, in the second update, be revealed to be the Japanese RPG Suikoden.
Oh my god! I hit it right on the head. Wow. So, okay, Suikoden. Suikoden is an RPG turn-based combat. The reason that it's unique is because it has an insane roster of characters that you can recruit. Some of them is so simple. You walk into a town, you say hi to them, and they join you. Others, there's like these really elaborate level quests you have to complete in order to get them. Some of them are incredibly cryptic. You'll do something with them early in the game, then they show up halfway through the game later, and you have to do something else for them to recruit them. Like, I just remember loving the random nature of the game, being able to recruit all these characters. But man, it's difficult to get them all. You need to definitely have a huge guide to get them all. If you get them all, there's a secret ending, which is really cool. And I did get them all. At the time when I was playing the game, I liked it so much. I used an online guide to get all the characters in the game. And the cool thing is, a lot of them are very similar. Like there's like archetypes, like a warrior, a mage. But if you get the really good ones, they like kick major ass at the end of the game. And there is opportunity to kind of use a lot of them in combat. It's not like, oh, I got 100 characters, but you only get to use 10 of them. No, like you can use those big fights where you have armies and shit fighting each other, and they all can be utilized. It's really neat. It's a really good game. If you've never checked this franchise out before, I strongly recommend you check it out. Although today, admittedly, I'm sure the graphics are monstrously outdated. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely an older style game. And you really have to like classic JRPGs to really enjoy it, I feel. But it's a really good franchise, and what a chance that I have played this and the sequel. I played 2. I played this and the sequel. Actually, I take that back. I played 3. I played 3 as well, because 3 was PS2, I think. I played all first 3 of the games. I didn't like 3. I thought 1 and 2 were great. 3 was not very good. But yeah, this is like total old school turn-based RPG shit. So I can understand if they're watching this woman just play the game constantly. You're just gonna sit here and play fucking Suikoden, huh? Oh, okay. Shout out to Mike, who has done a $50 tip. Thank you so much. He says, I'm stranded in a hotel in Pennsylvania. The stream's helping me get through the night. Well, Mike, thank you. What a generous tip that you just gave. And now we have hit the hat goal for the stream. I really appreciate that, Mike. I'm glad that I'm entertaining you and getting you through a boring time. Oops. I cannot type tonight. Anyway, we're going to have a poll now for a silly hat to be worn on stream. Let me get the poll going quickly so we can resume here. Jade is saying his Xbox is up and running. That's good. I will check after we finish for tonight. Thank you, Jade, for letting me know. Which hat is Suikoden best? We'll do cowboy. We'll do fake hair. No, I did fake hair the other day. We'll do Pikachu. We'll do a Viking hat. And we'll do the Punisher beanie. There you go. Bruzy says, add Suikoden to your list of games in the future. We'd love to see you play it. Dude, if I never got to Lost Odyssey, if you guys find, like, Earthbound and shit boring, you're going to think Suikoden is like watching grass grow. It's very slow-paced, turn-based RPG shit. There's a lot of cryptic stuff to try to get all the characters. It's... I don't know if you guys would like that. I loved it, though. Okay. I cannot believe I guessed it right. Let's continue.
Released in 1995. Soon afterwards, a friend of hers came to visit the house. She also believed herself bonded to a Suikoden character, specifically Sasarai, but since Pete could neither spell nor pronounce it, he simply called her something. After spending a week together playing video games, they picketed a barbecue that the rest of the housemates were having. Though they had been given vegetarian options to join, they refused on moral grounds, denouncing them for eating meat. After they were aggressively told off, they were asked for a house meeting, which took place in March, to discuss whether or not Sarah would be allowed to stay. Sarah attempted to explain herself. Quote, Sarah lifted her head and started to talk. She started with, I am sorry, but you have to understand where I am coming from. She also said, lots of people can't understand me because I have such a high intellect it is beyond their grasp. Excuse us for being sane, bitch.
Wow.
Unquote. They eventually learned that she had used friends' help to get past the screening process. She had never had a job in California, was from the East Coast, and used a friend's address to get a California driver's license while another posed as her boss. Matt allowed her to stay until May 1st, since she had already paid for April. Sarah, however, wasn't willing to leave so easily.
Really? She squatted?
By this point, numerous readers had become enraptured, begging for updates to what they had come to call the Sarah Saga, and many returned daily in hopes that a new part would be posted by Pete. In response to the pressure from Matt and the rest of the house, Sarah isolated herself in her room, with Sasarai acting as a go-between. She would only leave it in Sasarai's company. However, this didn't last long, as Matt was able to pull a favor from a psychologist friend to get her treatment for free, and he managed to convince Sarah to attend. Soon, she was on medication, and was interacting with the others on a more normal basis.
Oh, that's ingenious. So he knew she had something wrong with her. Get her to a doctor, get her on meds, have her acting fucking normal.
It was during this time that they discovered Sarah's true form of income. Quote, she said, plain as can be, I have people offer me donations on my blog so I can spread the news of my religion.
Wow.
Her religion being that she is actually a male video game character from a game that came out in the 90s. What? So there are some morons out there who are giving money to Sarah so she can pretend to be a video game character and teach others how to do the same? Something said, we give her things because she has helped us find our true selves. So you don't work either, Tim asked. You could tell he was ready to explode. No, I get government benefits in the UK. Why? Because I don't like to work.
Wow.
Soon after this, Sarah...
Oh my God. This is getting worse and worse. So they closed the Final Fantasy house when news of the Final Fantasy house broke on the internet. But then they created an internet cult instead to keep doing what they were doing, only now they're doing it world fucking wide. Are you shitting me? What the fuck? They brought their cult worldwide. Oh my God. Tiamat has just tipped me $4.20. Says, I think it's so awesome you're trying new things and moving past your prejudices. So much stuff gets dumped in as drama content when it's really just curiosity about weird and interesting people. Again, if you haven't noticed, I'm not trying to do anything that's harmful to anyone. I really do feel like this kind of content in a lot of cases can be very insensitive and can hurt people, and obviously that's not the case in this one. This is a wild internet story. You're not going to see me watching videos that are very mean-spirited to people and stuff like that. I prefer things that's like factual content. All right? Anyway, looks like there's a big battle between Cowboy Hat and Pikachu Hat tonight. I'm going to let it go for about another minute or two. But then I do want to I want to choose a hat here. So I'll let you guys vote for just a little bit more. I seriously can't believe there are this many people on the internet that were that dumb that they were paying them for nothing. Like, what were they paying them for? Back then in 2008, there wasn't even like live streaming or anything. So it wasn't even like they could have been posting live streams. Oh, look, here we're going to do a live seance with tarot cards and you get value out of it and you contribute. This is just they're posting like blogs on the internet about I am Hojo or, you know, I am Genova and you too are a video game character. Send me money. And people did it. Wow. I'm in the wrong business. I gotta do something different. Okay, anyway, let's continue.
Sarah's boyfriend convinced her to abandon her medication, and the results were violent.
Oh, God.
After one of the ruder housemates demanded she start taking the pills again, she began smashing fragile objects, including a window. She would continue to take her pills irregularly, but by this point, interaction between her and the rest of the house fell to a minimum. By the time May 1st came, there was no sign of her moving out, and when Matt attempted to evict her, Sarah called the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, claiming discrimination against her religion and her disabilities. While the state didn't follow through on these threats, they did discover that Matt had never filed the correct paperwork to house tenants, and Matt couldn't evict her until the proper paperwork was filed.
Well, I guess the guy who's only charging $500 for rent in Southern California and is doing so because he just wants to have people in the house so he's not lonely. Yeah, if he's not doing that professionally, likely he's not doing a lot of things at a professional level, including actually being qualified to have people live in his house. Now he's really fucked. Because now she's going to squat for... Once you get someone in a situation like this, right? And she's going to find... I guarantee you I swear to God I haven't watched this video. She's going to find every possible fucking way to not leave, right? Squatters, once they start squatting, it's like their butt is super glued to the floor. It's like, you ever see the mutant from X-Men, the Blob? His mutant ability is that his feet stick to the floor and he cannot be moved from where he's standing. Okay? They are never going to be able to get her out of this fucking house now. This is it. You're going to try every possible thing and she's not going to leave. This is not going to end well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's violence in this story coming up because, wow, he never actually filed to have the house be a place to be rented. That is terrible. Okay, the Punisher beanie has won. I'm just going to end the poll now because it's going all over the place. Here we go. Thank you guys for your support tonight. But let us now continue this horror story.
But the strangest event would happen that summer.
Okay.
In July, Sarah gathered 12 members of her soul bonding group at the house to perform a ritual, threatening
great.
Matt that she would file a discrimination suit against him if he wouldn't let them stay.
Oh my
Though
God.
Matt acquiesced, he only allowed them to stay until 10 o'clock that night. One roommate demanded that the soul bonders be ejected, but Matt wanted to gawk at their ritual, and so they stood in the kitchen and ate pizza while watching them.
Wow.
He describes the ritual. Quote, Sarah came downstairs, dressed in a white dress. She kept glancing at us. Something stood between her and us so she couldn't see us, I guess, and she began talking. She talked about how this was Betty's awakening, and how Betty was now going to finally realize her potential by harnessing the soul of a video game character. I couldn't stand it. I started cracking up. The rest of the housemates started cracking up. This was better than any kind of TV you can imagine. See if you can picture all of these nutjobs kneeling around the altar as the video game played its music.
Oh, they had the video game on too?
Sarah stood over them, preaching this religion, and the right bishop something would occasionally interject something deep from her position. Sarah was really getting upset, so more of her friends made the human wall. We could still hear all the stupid, even after they turned up the volume on that video game.
Oh my God.
At this point, Matt threatened to call the police since it was nearly 10 o'clock. but when one of the members of Sarah's group threw a punch, the threat was carried out, and the group was forced from the premises.
Wow. What on earth?
After this point, other members of the house would share some of their experiences, but as they did, readers grew more suspicious. Before this, many people had been doubting the veracity of the claims made by Pete, but when the other housemates began to write in a similar fashion to him, it made them even more dubious. These disagreements eventually spiraled into arguments whose full scope was not archived before being deleted, but they were apparently severe enough for the moderator of Housemate Horror to write a post regarding them. Also in this post was a surprising and unexpected piece of information. Quote, Tim, Pete, and Carrie, aka the people posting from the account Dragon Tiger Claw about the Sarah saga, may be as they say they are, different housemates of Sarah, or they may be the one person doing a little creative writing experiment. Basically, I don't give a crap. The posts have been amusing and entertaining, and anyone who doesn't think so is not being forced to read them, so please do not complain.
You know, the further we're going into this, I get the feeling that this Sarah person is not the same person. Maybe there will be a way to tie it together. There's 10 minutes left in the video here. So maybe there will be a way to tie it together that this really was the Jen person from the previous story. But it seems like a different kind of person. Like, the whole time that this Sarah was at the house, she wasn't asking for anyone to pay stuff for her. She had money coming in from an internet cult, right? And that didn't seem to fit the archetype of how she had been previously. Like, it seemed like she always tried to control everyone around her, while these people in the house were not controlled by her at all. Although she did have a cult online. I don't know. It seems like someone who, maybe this is what do they call it? The soul something? Maybe they're the same group of people, but this is a different person. I don't think it doesn't sound to me like the same person. It definitely seems to me like it's someone different, but maybe involved in the same cultish shit, but definitely not the same person. But I could be wrong. We have 10 minutes left. Maybe there's evidence that it really is the same person. I don't know. Okay.
Farther down, the mod continues. It has been brought to my attention that a post was made by someone who was claiming to know Sarah, and that the posts made by DTC were false and harassing blah blah wah blah. This same person, Jay Eckhart, sent me an email before they made that post, requesting IP address information on the poster of the Sarah stories in order to catch the culprit making these false and harassing posts. I declined, as I do not think giving out personal/identifying information such as IP addresses on members of my community without their permission is really a good thing to do you?
Nope, you get in trouble
I have
for it,
no
too.
proof that this person is really representing Sarah or that the posts made about her are false. I have no proof that they are true either, but until I get proof either way, I think the best thing is to not take any drastic actions. They requested I not tell DTC about them contacting me, and I intended not to, simply because it was the most neutral action to take, but then they made that post and made their intentions public. So I feel fine with telling you all, including DTC, about the email now. But meanwhile, elsewhere on the internet, other people were having their own discussion about the Sarah saga, and they would quickly discover much more than they first expected.
Okay. What now?
On August 19th, 2008, a member of the Something Awful forums named Jabberwock posted a thread entitled, "If you thought furries were bad," which linked to the 11 parts of the Sarah saga that had been posted so far. The responses seemed mostly to reflect amusement, though quite a number of forum members echoed the doubt displayed in the comments of the posts themselves. One user, however, who went by Jägerhunde, had a different response. Quote, "I haven't read through the journals, I only started the first, but I swear this could be about a girl I knew and even once dated in that really vague, sad high school nerd way. She claimed that she was soul-bonded to the Eris character from Final Fantasy VII, that her girlfriend was soul-bonded to Sephiroth, and she swore at one point with perfect seriousness that she was carrying Sephiroth's spirit child. Apparently, she'd conducted an elaborate fantasy life with these characters in her head, and had written pages upon pages of god-awful fanfiction about it. So far as I know, she grew out of it eventually, but when I say eventually, I mean like late 20s. Even when I knew her at 16, this kind of behavior from her made me want to stay far the fuck away. Oh yeah, the girl in question also changed her name to some bullshit nerd fantasy name she made up, and absolutely refused to ever be addressed by her birth name." After reading through the rest of the entries, Jägerhunde returned the next day with a new post that took the other readers aback. Pretty sure
Okay, hold on. I'm getting tips here from someone. $4.20 tips. And I don't know what it's supposed to mean. If it's supposed to be impersonating me, it says, ha ha, wow, huh. Wow, ha ha, huh. What they're saying is, I seriously can't believe X did Y. Do you guys think this might happen? Ha ha, wow, huh. What he's saying is that X did Y. Do you guys think the expected thing will happen? Huh. Thanks for the tips. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know if you're trying to make fun of me doing React content or not. But thanks for the tips. There you go. Here's my reaction to your tips. Thank you. Let's continue.
Got this all sewn up, goons. Allow me to introduce you to Catherine Rain. By pure chance, Jägerhunde had been in a small writing club in high school with Catherine and still knew her Flickr account, her DeviantArt account, and her LiveJournal account. They also discovered the Flickr account of someone cosplaying as Sasarai, who had numerous pictures of both herself and Catherine. One of these images credited her as Catherine Silverberg, Silverberg being the surname of a family of characters from Suikoden known for their tactical prowess in war. Other photographs had Catherine in a white dress, something that Sarah had worn in the Sarah saga. But the most telling piece of evidence Jägerhunde discovered was legal paperwork of her name change. By searching for her name in the county archives, he was able to discover her court schedule for when she legally changed her name. Though the accounts of Pete and his housemates were still doubted, the identity of Sarah seemed almost certain. They also were able to track down the website that this soul bonding community was using to proselytize curious internet.
Welcome to Harmonices Mundi, an odd little gathering place based on the premise that fantasy web design will get you everywhere. There are a number of people scattered here who call themselves Harmonians. Divided as we are, it can be a lonely seeming existence, though no Harmonian versed in the magic of our world and connected to the runes that guard and guide it is ever truly lonely. So this small niche of the internet has been carved out wherein you can ramble about meeting Harmonian, share your own personal Harmonia canons, and partake of some of my thoughts on the subject.
Users. Another person rediscovered.
It's the happiest place on earth, apparently. And the thing is, this shit exists. This does exist. This kind of weirdo shit. This is how stuff on the internet goes crazy, right? When this kind of nuttiness is allowed to propagate, and then people start to gather around it, right? This is how cults happen, right? Nothing in this that I just read makes any sense, right? None of that. There's not even a sentence there that you read and you're like, yes. You're like, no, what the fuck? What are you talking about, right? But to those people, they read that and it's like, oh yeah, this is great. This is something I can be a part of. The Harmonians. And I'll feel included finally in my life in a place. I felt like an outcast my whole life everywhere I went. But when I'm with the Harmonians, I feel welcomed, right?
Discovered the pamphlets that they would hand out at conventions.
Oh, they have pamphlets.
The runes are devoted to preserving the natural order of life. While it can't be denied that their bearers have often experienced great hardship as a result of bearing the runes, we know that this is due to inexperience.
Wait a minute. Those runes, do you see them? Oh, they're right near my camera here. Aren't those from a video game? They look very familiar to me. Let me move this. They look very familiar to me. They're like elemental runes. Like that's fire, wind, like water or ice, probably earth. They look like they're ripped right out of a video game, right? I wonder if they're from Suikoden. I wonder if they are. Huh.
Bearers with no magical training, suddenly and unexpectedly receiving the rune's gifts. With no knowledge of how to live in harmony with these powerful entities, they can't control the vast forces raging in turmoil inside themselves. But if people were taught to listen to and understand the runes, we could have the healthy, positive relationships with them that we were always meant to have. The end of the pamphlet encourages readers to contact Bishop Sasarai. After looking through the information on the Final Fantasy house, Jägerhunde made another assertion.
Thank you, Hiseo, for a super chat. He said, I hope some of these folks got help when they left. I mean, anyone who would actually believe any of this obviously needs help, you know? It's just pure fabrication. But people, you know, I guess there's a saying that people believe what they want to believe. Like, if you're someone who has a bad life or has been abused in your life and you just need someone to talk to feel like they care about you, you will find a way. You know what I mean? You'll believe anything. I will believe any of your bullshit as long as it means there's something that makes my life better, you know? Well, I don't, again, you have to wonder how many people believed it, that it was true. Am I right? It is Suikoden? It's Suikoden runes. They're out of Suikoden. People just looked it up. They're ripped straight out of Suikoden. Okay.
Catherine had also been deeply involved with Jen and Hojo. He believed that she was in fact both Candy Wrapper, the person who had written the list on the website, as well as Eris, the apprentice that Jen had
Eris
lost.
from the original
Catherine
story.
had also been attending the University of Delaware during the events of the Final Fantasy house.
So she was the apprentice. She was the one who wrote the post saying, Jen, I don't care if you ever read this or not, but I need to vent.
Only a 2-hour drive from State College. It appeared that, after these two distanced themselves from one another, Catherine began her own soul bonding community based on the Suikoden games, gathering followers over the years.
So wait a minute! Holy shit! Get this. There was a fucking house of people, Final Fantasy house, and she said, well, I don't like how they ran that one. I'm gonna run a Suikoden cult. That's it. Starting tonight. We are starting the World Championship. Oh, hold on. World Championship Super Fighter Cult. And this is our supreme leader, Bronca. Not Blanca, because we'll get sued. Bronca. He's very skinny. This is our supreme leader. He's a very skinny deity. See? He was crushed by a truck when he was a child and became like a pancake. But he is a very generous deity. He has many, many powers to give us. Now, all you have to do is you have to send me all of your money tonight, and Bronca will grace you with many magical powers, okay? Join the World Championship Super Fighter Cult today. This is an ingenious idea that I just came up with. Amazing. Wow. And some people would believe it. Some people would believe it. Oh my God. Anyway, I got another super chat here. Thank you to Zebi Bobebi, who did a super chat. Says the villain of the story is still active today. So you're basically saying that this woman is still running this cult? Because this video is 2008 so far, right? Zebi Bobebi. Thank you, Zebi Bobebi, for the super chat. All right. All right, we got to continue. We got to keep going. We have 5 minutes left in this video.
The evidence linking the two was circumstantial. The specificity of it left little doubt, and this revived interest in the Final Fantasy house enough that new people were again discovering it.
Okay.
On August 22nd, just 2 days after Jägerhunde had posted about Catherine, he made another post saying, quote, "Took a day off, everyone. I don't really have anything more to add, except to mention to everyone that I've become aware that our protagonist is now aware of this thread.
Found the thread.
Say hi, everyone." Gleefully, the rest of the forum members began to post messages to Catherine, mocking and teasing her, claiming to be soul-bonded to any number of characters or objects. That same day, however, an update was posted to the Final Fantasy House website. Quote, "I updated some stuff to make it slightly more legible. Evidently, housemate Horror's Sarah is not Rain Crystal. This comes to me via the writer of the Sarah saga. If you think he's lying or that I'm lying, that is your own business, but that is what he told me. Rain Crystal's behavior, soul bond nuttiness, getting money for it, etc., is similar enough to Sarah that she is harassing the writer to stop posting his lies about her. As such, I still think she's worth warning people about. I am sorry, but based on my experiences and the experiences of others, soul bonders are dangerous freakos."
So, the thread was on Something Awful forums and took off about this Catherine Suikoden cult leader. And then back on the other site that had originally been posting about the Sarah character said, oh, Sarah has contacted me and said that this is not her. But basically they're saying, listen, it's just crazy shit anyway. It doesn't even matter if they're all the same person. This shit persists on the internet. Be careful. Okay. So, let's see here. An anonymous tipper tipped me $1.50 and says there's actually a current trend among kids these days on TikTok. It's called reality shifting. They believe they can teleport themselves to fictional universes telepathically, and they have detailed instructions to their followers on how to do so. Great. Atlas Telemon tipped me $2. He says, Bronca, take my money. Hi, Phil. How you doing? Hope you're good. Thank you, Atlas. I am doing good. Well, I don't want to say mind blown because I know all about crazy shit that happens on the internet personally firsthand from the shit that's happened to me and around me. But, you know, to actually hear the details of a specific cult is kind of crazy. All right. We're almost done, by the way. Let's see how it all ends. Maybe there's a big conclusion or maybe it's just, I don't know, a summary.
The next day, Jägerhunde had a strongly worded reply. Quote, "This is actually a goddamn lie. Greta is a litigious-loving nut, and it sounds to me like housemate horror dude is doing damage control. I don't blame the Final Fantasy VII house author, since he's probably taking it simply on faith that our housemate horror author is telling the truth. But he's not, and anyone who's read this far through the thread should see through this pathetic obfuscation pretty easily." Unquote.
Now they're arguing with each other.
One person asking for clarification, Jägerhunde replied, "It would be irresponsible for me to say that Greta and her friends have their collective panties in a wad about the housemate horror thing and have been pressuring the author to recant, so I won't. I'd like to add that it's possible that the housemate horror author is a very elaborate troll, but even if he is, this is clearly someone who knows Greta, if it's her, of course, and while I'm willing to entertain the idea that some of the particulars might be fabricated, the fact that anybody, you know, like maybe Greta, has possibly gotten so defensive about a series of stories, which even use false names, says much about that person." Unquote. Finally, on August 24th, in mid-afternoon, all parts of the story were removed from the housemate horror blog.
Really?
However, working from Google Cache, the members of the forum were able to piece together all of the parts that had been written by Dragon Tiger Claw and archive it on the forum, though it also had been saved on the Wayback Machine. That same day, the original Final Fantasy House author posted an update to his website. Quote, "Well, what do you know? When something awful found Catherine Rain, things really heated up. The original writer of the Sarah saga got regular harassment until he took the story down. Considering the mind-numbing level of consistent details between Catherine's data and the data on Sarah, I'm going to agree with the goons. The OP was just doing damage control. It's obviously her. The current theory is, in one last-ditch effort to avoid more court battles with her, he deleted all the posts. Well, Greta, you stepped in it. You took away my train wreck that I was reading to defend your crazy cult. If he was writing fiction or not, you took away the fun. Thanks to something awful, we'll have lots of nice photos and links all here about you in just a little while."
See, now here's the thing. This is where I feel things go too far, all right? If you're just doing anonymous posts somewhere, all right? I'm going to put some perspective here on this, okay? You're doing anonymous posts somewhere, all right? There's no real names involved. It's just a silly, stupid story about something that may or may not be true. And then you're trying to have some collaboration. Oh, it really did happen, and here's my experience because I was involved in it. But let's keep everything anonymous, and let's not start fucking around, right? Okay. But I feel like when the situation went from, okay, it's a funny story I'm telling on the internet to, oh, by the way, I found every piece of information on the person. So here's their real name. Here's all the photos they ever posted on the internet. Here's where they live. Here's their relatives. Here's their fucking phone number. Here's all this shit. That's when it gets too far, right? Because then it jumps from, it's just a silly story to laugh at, to systematic harassment. Doxing the person involved is not the right thing to do ever. And it seems like this story, if we're following it along, it started innocent. It was just people making posts on the internet about some weird experiences or whatever. And it turned into completely doxing people. Now they're saying these people are getting harassed behind the scenes, even if they may not even really be the people involved in the stories, and they're getting harassed behind the scenes because of the doxing and shit. You know what I'm saying? So... yeah, and the problem now is, you already just said, so now, oh, well, because you deleted because you threatened the guy, he deleted the thread, now we're going to dox all your information. I hate that shit. I really do. I don't like that at all. That's, you know, it's a silly story to laugh at. Oh, no, now it's taken to the next level. Why? Why do people take that? Why do people on the internet not understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't understand that at one point, it's gone too far, and then there's a level that you stop. Because they don't. And I know that personally from my own personal experience, the harassment I get online. You want to laugh at me, you want to laugh at the fucked up things that I say and do and the mistakes I made on the internet, great. But why does it have to get to the point where now it's personal shit being revealed and trying to pull all kinds of shit, the doxing and all kinds of fucked up stuff? That's going way too far, you know? And so even if you completely disagree with everything that these people did, they're cults, they're sucking money from people, manipulating people. Obviously, it's terrible. You shouldn't do this. But now, throw all the information on the internet. Is there really 100% factual corroboration that this person is the right person? No, it's all speculation. It's good speculation if you're connecting the dots. You think, okay, this is definitely the person, but still, there's not 100% proven. Now, what if it's wrong, right? And what if it's wrong? And now, next thing you know, the wrong person's involved. The wrong person's getting harassed, right? So this is not good. We got 2 minutes left, so I get the feeling that we're not going to get like a big conclusion. It's going to be more like, well, that's the end of the story. But you want to wonder what happened with these people, right? Let's see here. An anonymous tipper to me $1.50. He says, I feel bad for Mr. Frederick. Imagine if he took hours and hours to have to dig through the internet to find all of this stuff. With that said, happy early Mother's Day, everyone. Happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. There you go. Of course, if you're watching this on demand on YouTube, you might not even be watching it anywhere near a Mother's Day. Okay, here we go.
Unquote. This last update remains on the website to this day, and a link to the Sarah Saga thread on Something Awful is provided farther down the page. Now, the Final Fantasy House's website and the Sarah Saga remain as a warning about fandoms taken to their extreme, but they also serve as an example of how the online space collapses the distances between people, so that even old friends with no more existing ties can discover or stumble across one another, with wildly unpredictable effects.
Is that it? Oh, okay. Wow. So, yeah, what a crazy story. And like I said, really, where this all comes down to is you gotta be so careful about shit that's on the internet too. Once it's out there, it's out there. And of course, same thing, you know, when I was younger and I used to do shit posting on forums and stuff, okay? And I didn't ever think, oh man, when I'm 40 years old, is anyone gonna care about me shit posting on shoryuken.com, talking shit to other players? Of course not. Right? But things have a way of coming back and creeping up. And, you know, I'll tell you, I'm embarrassed with the shit that I did when I was younger on the internet. I've outright admitted it many, many times. I've done many things on the internet. But do you really think that these people here, right? These people here posting up their experiences with crazy people and running a cult in a house and stuff would ever think that someone like Frederick Knudsen would now make a viral video about it, getting millions and millions of views, and people all around the world would know all about that, right? I mean, this video is just so many different topics. I mean, it's about obsessive behavior about something you like video games. It's about cult mentality, cult-like thinking, and the pitfalls of falling into cult-like behavior and obsession, right? It's about people who have, how can I say, people who've been abused or are in a situation in life where they're mentally, you know, not necessarily unstable, but weakened to the point where they let others control them, and how people can find ways to manipulate those kind of people to get what they want, right? It's a video about archiving the internet and how crazy it is that things that are archived on the internet can be pulled up at any time for any purpose years and years later, right? I mean, holy shit, this video, this documentary, right, is actually like an ultra cautionary tale of a million different things at once. And there's still so many unanswered questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that people buy into shit like that, right? It's pretty crazy. You know, the cult-like mentalities of people on the internet and how they find an idea to hyper-focus on. And this, what was it called? Soul streaming. Oh, your soul can be combined with a video game character. The video game character is real from another dimension, right? And now you are that person. And like whoa. That's it. But we're taking it seriously. No, it's real. And now we're going to believe in crystals and tarot cards, and we're going to pay people. Soul bonding. That's what it's called. Soul bonding. Okay. That just like, holy shit. The internet must be insanely full of this kind of crap, huh? It's probably all over the place. I'm not talking just soul bonding. I mean, this kind of weird, thoughts about things and people. And, you know, you look at YouTube, right? And on YouTube, you got entire hate groups based around people. You know, I'm one of them. And these people who basically kind of like come together, and you got to think, what kind of a person would come together to believe something crazy, or would come together to just collectively shit on someone on the internet, right? That I think that's telling. You know what I'm saying? Like, watching this video, it's like, okay, these were people, they admitted, I was weak in the head, I was a weak in mentality, I needed someone to give me some kind of a feeling of positivity and support in my life. It didn't matter how crazy the situation fucking was. I would let this person abuse me as long as I was feeling like I belonged to something, right? It's crazy. By the way, shout out to Billy Boy, who tipped me $10 and says, do you think it's questionable to make content on people like this if they're genuinely mentally ill? Should they be allowed to get it taken down? Just curious on your thoughts. So what you're saying is, if, let's say, for example, only one person had their name said in this video, this Catherine person, right? Oops. Only one person, right? Are you saying that Catherine should have the ability to take down content on the internet that's harmful about them? Well, doxing, yeah. Like, you shouldn't be able to be doxed on the internet, right? And thank God, at least if they did dox her, Frederick is smart. He didn't put any of that shit in his video. He's not going to get in trouble for anything here, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You're right. Like, if someone already is mentally unstable, if someone already obviously isn't, you know, head's not screwed on straight, they're believing stuff like this. Do you really think that having a cult of people on the internet shit on them for toxic reasons is going to help? You know, this kind of harkens back to my Wings of Redemption DSP reacts from a couple weeks ago, where it was like, yeah, he was actively making bad choices in his life. He was actively making mistakes and doing bad things and bad decisions. But the guy had mental issues. He admits it. He has depression. He has these things. When you had a group of people now that are well documenting everything he does wrong and just pile it on, pile it on, pile it on, should that be allowed? And is that going to help anything? Or is that just going to exacerbate the situation worse? Right? Interesting that this was... that's something awful right there, right? I wonder, is that really what the whole site is? I've never been on something awful, so I don't know anything about it. But it seems like kind of like the modern day equivalent of that would be like a Kiwi Farms, right? Where all they do is they pile on people very negatively in a way that's just going to exacerbate the situation worse and worse. It's not going to ever help or make them learn. And you know, but no, I mean, that's an interesting question. Because, I mean, at some point, you're literally just documenting facts, right? You're just documenting facts and putting them out there. But at one point, can facts be harmful, right? If there's a person out there who already has, they're going through a bad time, the reason that the things happened that were messed up in their life is because they were going through a bad time mentally, and now you're going to document that, promote that, exploit that for personal gain on the internet? Yeah. Devin says, actually, something awful at one point. There was another version of 4chan and Kiwi Farms, and at one point they charged people to actually post on the site, and it basically they were making money off of the internet hate culture. Wow. It's crazy. Anyway, so in summary, wow, this one was, I had no idea what it was going to be going into it. I had zero information about what this was going to be, besides people recommended that I check it out. It seems like it's two different stories. The first story is the actual Final Fantasy house during those college days. What was it, like 2004, 2005? And then the second story is that person that had been a part of that house, the Aerith character, went on to start her own cult, her Suikoden cult. And how people bought into the cult online, and she was making money doing it, and basically got exposed all over the internet, right? It's a crazy story to believe that stuff like this is real. It really is. And some people, when this video was starting, some people were actually saying, I don't believe it. I think that this is fabricated. This is completely false. I mean, do we have any concrete evidence besides when they basically doxed this woman? Do we have any concrete evidence that any of it is real? And even then, do we know it's that it's real, or is that just some random woman's fucking Instagram, right? Or whatever it was. I don't even think it was Instagram. It was something else that got roped into it, right? But I definitely believe that this kind of thing can happen. You know, not to make it all about me, but I have to add my own personal perspective. There is a cult-like people out there, a cult of people who hate me. And over the years, they've always found different reasons to hate me. And again, it's one thing if you don't like me because I made mistakes and things. It's another thing to actually try to pull all kinds of other shit into the equation, right? My personal life outside of my content and my streams and things I do on the internet, trying to find, you know, expose things that have nothing to do with anything related to what I do on the internet, business-wise. And it's just pretty crazy to me that, you know, my personal experience with this cult that follows me around and shits on me constantly, that these things exist on the internet and they're unchecked. They're dangerous, right? They're very dangerous. I mean, take a look. They said that, you know, there's possibly people who have been harassed to the point of suicide because of the shit that happens online with these online cults and things that are allowed to just be like unchecked. You know what I'm saying? Man. But anyway, I don't want to talk about this forever. That was an interesting video. That was completely different from what I thought it was going to be. Didn't know what it was going to be going in. I thought it was just a group of people who like dress up like Final Fantasy characters and act weird. And maybe it was a funny thing on the internet. No, I was not expecting cults, actual cults, and people actually supporting them financially and stuff like that. That's nuts. That's crazy. Wow. But I guess, you know, it can happen, right? It can happen if you have people who are susceptible to that kind of stuff. And if there's no real check for it, there's no one looking out for you. You be careful. You got to be very, very careful about stuff on the internet. You really do. There, you know, these people who are running the cult. Again, I asked this at the beginning. I'll say it again. The Jen character, the Christine person, do they really genuinely believe that this stuff is real? Or were they actually taking advantage of people who were susceptible, right, for various reasons, to get what they wanted, you know? That Christine person completely lied about everything. Her cult lied about her to say that she had a job, to say that she had references, that she could move into this house, that she had money, and she had none of it, right? All right. So anyway, guys, this is now I'm going long-winded. I want to say thank you to everyone who watched my DSP Reacts Down the Rabbit Hole, the Final Fantasy House special. Impromptu, not planned. Didn't have anything prepared for this, but I hope still you found it entertaining. I want to say thank you to everyone who attended it live on stream tonight and anyone who supported the stream in any way. Thank you. Thank you to those who possibly are watching this on demand on YouTube. Remember, you can support it by liking it, leaving comments, super thanks, etc. And this is a pretty good impromptu thing. As they say, you make lemonade out of lemons. I couldn't do what I wanted to do tonight with games, so I did a quick react. And it's only the second one I've done. All right. I'm sure that there's things people are going to complain about and say it wasn't perfect. Could I have done it differently or whatever? I appreciate that feedback. Please give it to me. Leave comments and things. Let me know. How could this have gone better? You know what I'm saying? Unlike the last one I did with Wings, I didn't have a frame of reference going into this one. So I tried to give as much insight and perspective as I could. I don't know how much I did, but I hope that you liked it regardless. All right, guys? So no matter how you watched, thank you for watching and thank you for supporting. The next one of these that I do is going to be about me. Alrighty then. Alright, guys. Thank you very much. See you next time.